Hi, this video is made for children. This is the first video, and most likely the only that I will ever have on this channel that is going to have that setting. And I don't even think I've watched a video with this setting on, so I have no idea what this is going to do to this video. But the point of this video is that I've been mulling about a lot of things lately, and I think that this is a fitting, subject for this video because what I was going to talk about was what does it really mean to grow up? Because I was going through a bunch of my old, NASCAR reviews and comments videos, and I noticed that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you need to grow up. Oh, you need a psychological evaluation and you need to grow up." And it's like, what are you even talking about? I'm 24, dude. I've grown up. But then you got to think about it. And that's when my mind came to this. It's just like, this video is made for children. Well, okay. How do you define children? What is the definition of a child? This video is not going in the direction that you think it is, by the way. When I say that, it's that I, 24 years old, have lived not hardly anything. Compared to most old people, people up there 80 or 90, that's about like 3 times the length of my entire life that I have completely experienced from start to finish. And I already feel like I've done enough for a few lives. But even then, I still feel like a very boring person. So take with that what you will. But the reason that I say that, the reason that I say how do you define a child, is because as I've grown, I have looked back on my life over several stages of my life. And I've noticed, some patterns that have emerged. And I think the biggest thing is, when should you define adulthood? Because in general, people in America will define adulthood as turning 18. But the thing is, there's no switch that just suddenly gets flipped to where, the night, when you're 17 years, 364 days, 23 and a half hours old, and then, when you immediately turn 18, there's just like, oh, suddenly I am extremely enlightened, and I see the world in broader strokes than I ever have before. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And I'm 24, and I still don't think that switch is flipped. I think it's multiple switches, which is why it's difficult to define what a child is. And the reason that I say that is because I remember when I was like 12, and they had this like Toddler Tunes CD being advertised on Cartoon Network all the time, and they called it 300 songs for kids. And it was a bunch of nursery rhymes, just like, Mary Had a Little Lamb extended remix featuring Pitbull, That's all it was. And it's like, that's for babies. That's not for kids, that's for babies. There's a huge difference there. And the fact of the matter is, there is a huge difference there. There is a huge difference between a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old. And so that's why it's difficult to say, okay, so you can call a 6-year-old a kid. But what do you call a 13-year-old? There's the term teenager, but a lot of times, depending on the speaker's motivations and biases, they can refer to teenagers as kids. They get grouped together, and it really pisses off teenagers. Try telling a teenager they're still a kid. It doesn't go well. So that's why it's so difficult. So when we say this video is made for children, YouTube pretty much clearly defines that as, like under the age of 13. But that's just their definition. if I were to give a definition of child, it is vastly different than anyone else's, I would say, because there is a level of intellectual, physical, and emotional, sets of traits that go into what you would define as adulthood. What was on my forehead? I don't even want to know what was on my forehead just then. But so what I'm trying to get at is that when I turned 18, I was not an adult. Oh no, sirree. I may as well have been a freshman in high school. Oh no, dude. And like you can see it in my videos. I mean, it's abundantly clear. Like, you can tell from like just the demeanor that I have now versus what I had back in 2013 and 2015, night and day. Night and day. You can barely compare the two. And I think that's why it's difficult to define adulthood and childhood for that matter. Because there were things that I did when I was 18 that I never would have done at age 20. And there's a lot of things that I did at age 20 that I would never do now. And I think a lot of that comes down to experience and natural intelligence and, being influenced by the world at large. That's the key fundamental thing that I want to try and make clear here, is because, I mean, what I want to get at is that my views and opinions as a child versus my views and opinions now are so vastly different and in so many different ways. And it leads me to realize that most of my opinions back then were formed from being influenced by everyone around me. And now I have that opportunity to, actually think critically about things. And back then I would have said, oh, no, actually, I'm completely in control of everything that I say, actually, and think. I say and think. Yeah, no one has influenced me in any capacity whatsoever. That was not cum. That was my donut that I was gonna save for breakfast tomorrow. But you can see that I cannot keep up with that. Responsibilities. Another mistake of a 24-year-old. See, and the thing is that when I was 15, I thought I knew fucking everything. I watched The Amazing Atheist every day. And I was like, damn, dude, I shouldn't curse in this video made for kids, should I? I guess this probably won't end up actually having the made for kids tag on. I watched The Amazing Atheist, and I thought that I was the biggest genius on the planet. And yet when I look back at some of the things that I wrote and some of the videos that I made in 2013, I could not have been further from right about basically everything. And the funny part is that I guarantee you that, versus 8 years ago when I was 15 compared to now, I can look back and say, man, I was stupid. I guarantee you that 8 years from today, I'll look back at this video when I'm 32, if we're alive by then, if the earth manages to make it that far. I guarantee you that I'll look back on what I was doing now and I'll be like, God, how was I so stupid? Why did I do such stupid things? And I just think a lot of that comes down to experience. Like there's so many things that people can bring forth when it comes to experience. You can be an 80-year-old dude and you can see your 15-year-old grandkids and you can be like, I have so much stuff that I need to tell you right now so that you don't make the same mistakes as I do. You tell that 15-year-old that stuff, they're going to ignore you. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. And even for someone like me, who is 24 and open-minded to just about everything, I could be told some nonsensical tale by some geriatric dude in a nursing home, and it could be 100% true. Everything that he prophesies could come true. But I'm still going to sit back like, are you on your meds? Are you on or off your meds at this time? George, we need to get you we need to get you an IV drip because you are clearly missing something. That's really annoying. That's really annoying. And I think, and to tie this all together, because I can't do a single thinking chair video without getting political, is that when when I see that people are saying that we should not forgive student loan debt because they took that money and they're going to have to pay it off now. And it's like, for a while there, I actually agreed, is that I made the stupid decision to go to college to get an absolutely worthless degree that has gotten me absolutely nowhere in life besides $50,000 in debt. So I should have to live with the consequences of my actions. And to an extent, that is true. However, I was lucky. I had a decent amount of scholarships. I had, family members to fall back on when things got rough. My fucking mom co-signed all of my Bank of North Dakota loans. So that destroyed her credit score. And yeah, but but like the thing is that when you think about it, you're 18 years old, okay? You've been told from the very moment that you first stepped foot into the classroom on your first day of kindergarten, all the way to when you're walking across the stage to get your diploma. You are told the entire time that if you do not go to college, you will live in squalor for the rest of your life. I literally had a teacher try to argue with me once that well, not me, but the class, that if you don't go to college, you're going to end up a prostitute. Okay, that is a very short version of the long lecture that we got out of that. But that was basically what it boiled down to: is that if you don't go to college, you're going to be a prostitute. Okay, that's honestly an argument that a teacher tried to make. So you're told for 13 years of your life that you must go to college, otherwise you will live in misery for the next 50 years of your life, if you make it that long. And it's like, you can kind of understand why so many of these young, impressionable people, children, because it's convenient. I can use that term because it is convenient for my argument. You're a young, impressionable child, and you're told your whole life that you have to go to college, no matter what. It doesn't matter what classes you take. You'll figure out what you want to do by the time you get there. You don't. You actually don't. It doesn't happen. You don't actually figure out what you want to do, other than want to die. But hey, that's everyone. So you're told all this, so you got to be like, okay, well, I better take out these predatory loans that will compound in interest for the rest of my godforsaken life. I gotta do it. Otherwise I'm gonna be a prostitute. It's like, so what I've always advocated for is interest relief. Okay. An entire generation, multiple generations at this point, millennials and Gen Z. Gen Z is going to be hitting college here soon. Entire generations of students, an entire generation of people were told from the second they step foot in public school that they have to do this. So they do. And they take out a bunch of money that they don't have at ridiculous interest rates that are they're by design to handcuff you in indentured servitude for the rest of your life. I know people that are in their 30s, coming up on their 40s, that still owe more on their student loans than they actually took out. It's all interest. That's not cool. Banks, that's not cool. I don't even have, that much in student loan debts in the grand scheme of things, but it's still annoying. I still have to pay like something like $35 in interest alone each month on all of my student loans. And that may not sound like much, but as it compounds over time, basically, it gets to the point where I mean, my loans, the payment plan it's not a lot. I get $35 of interest on all of my loans, you know, each of them. But the actual payments that I'm supposed to be making on a monthly basis is something around $70. $70 on each of them. So, you don't have to pay much, but you're literally, that if I were to actually follow that schedule, I would literally have to pay back twice the amount that I put in. Huh? That's stupid. That's extremely stupid. Now, that's just me. That's just me, who doesn't have a lot in student loan debts compared to everyone else. Just think if you're a nursing student who had to take out $300,000 because the book alone costs more than a house. Just imagine if you're that person. Sure, you're going to be, if you manage to find a job to begin with, when you're forced to undergo a irreversible medical treatment to even become a nurse, after you do that, after you do that, you're going to have to pay back, what, $900,000 on those loans? What? No, that's stupid. Especially when every kid is told they have to go to college. But I guess they can just get away with it because, I don't know, reasons. The point that I'm trying to make with that is that how can you expect a child to make that kind of decision for themselves? A life-altering decision. One that's going to shape the next 20, 30 years of their life just by making that decision alone. Not even what they choose to do with the money either. Just the choice itself is life-changing. And from the moment that they step foot in the public school system, they are told that the choice they have to make is yes. It's predatory. It's evil. It is pure evil. What these institutions and these loan providers are doing. It should be illegal. I'm dead serious. This should not be allowed to happen. And here we are in a student debt crisis that gets worse by the day, and there's a side that cheers it on because they're insane, and then the other side has no actual, tangible solutions. Okay, so an entire generation of kids is $5 trillion in debt. What are we going to do? Mint $1 trillion coin and just make that problem vanish? Except inflation doesn't work that way. They're going to try. Don't worry. I wouldn't put it past this administration. But where do you go? Where do you go? Where do you go, dude? I don't know. I don't have the solution. I'm some chud on the internet with a Kraft macaroni and cheese plushie. Do you think I have the solution to this? No, I don't. I'm sorry. If you're coming to this channel for solutions, you've come to the wrong place. All I do is complain. Just ask Reddit. Anyway, but like this entire conversation is completely derailed. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, what is a child? What is a child? I would go as far as to say that my views and actions when I was like right when I turned 21 were very childlike in nature. I had the opportunity of a lifetime to make a connection that would have possibly taken me all the way to the top of CBS Sports. When I did the announcing in Deadwood for the Snowcross, they had like their actual, main producer. They had the main producer, they had the guy, controlling all the pyrotechnics and like the televised stuff. The television director, we had the director and the producer. of this entire thing in the room with me, I did not get even one phone number. Are you kidding me? Why? Why did I do that? That could have been life-changing. Being directly in communication with CBS Sports itself. Just not even just to be like, just texting back and forth like, hey, you up? WYD. No. I didn't do any of that. And that was right before I turned 21. That was January of 2018. So I would have been 20. That's not very, adultish, if you ask me. So, and that's what I mean when I say that, how do you define childhood? How do you define adulthood? How can you define a definitive beginning and end? There's no way to. Which is why, just the instantaneous second that someone turns 18, they just suddenly have complete free reign of everything. They could walk out of their parents' house and never come back the instantaneous moment that they turn 18. And the parents can't do anything about it. I mean, they can hire a bounty hunter, I guess. But legally, there's no ties. There's nothing that, there's nothing. There's nothing they can do. Legally, there's nothing they can do. And it feels arbitrary because I lived that. I lived that. When I was 18, I was not prepared for the real world. When I was 19, I was not prepared for the real world. When I was 20, I wasn't prepared for the real world. And then, even still, I don't know if I'm prepared for the real world right now. I'm still buying crypto. I've lost so much money on crypto. I've lost so much money on crypto, but I still buy it. What does that say? Other than I'm a very dim-witted individual indeed. I don't know, dude. I don't know. It all feels so arbitrary. And then I had a friend in high school that did exchange when she was 17, and she exchanged in Ireland, and the drinking age in Ireland is 16. That's 5 years earlier than in America. Why? Why? When you're 16, you can get absolutely plastered in Ireland. But you can't even be 20 and get absolutely plastered in America. It's all arbitrary. It's all completely arbitrary. But even then, when you think about it, how can you make there has to be a boundary somewhere. There has to be a boundary somewhere. At some point you have to put your foot down and be like, okay. So, in general, most people, most of the bell curve is going to fall into these specific categories. They are going to be competent enough to drive at age 16, competent enough to make their own life decisions and, have actual definition of consent and stuff at 18. But apparently they're not developed enough to drink? Can't you buy smokes at age 18? You're telling me that you can buy smokes at age 18, but you can't drink until you're 21? But like I said, it's all about the bell curve. Most people are going to fall into that category where probably shouldn't let them drive until they're 16, probably shouldn't let them drink until they're 21. Or, and I mean, we could get into the entire argument that these laws exist only to pad out police funds and prisons. We could get into that conversation, but that's not the direction that I wanted to go in because I feel like that isn't relevant for the childhood versus adulthood conversation. But we could go there, just not in this video. I don't know, dude. It's all very the word that I always come back to is arbitrary. It doesn't feel like there's any real basis in reality for having these predetermined boundaries for everyone when we all know that everyone is different. all people develop differently. They develop physically differently. They develop mentally differently. You know, you could be Albert Einstein at age 10, and you could be like, you could still think that, you're going to grow up to be I don't know, grow up to be an astronaut when you're already, on your second round of bankruptcy when you're 20 years old. It's arbitrary. But I think it's good that these boundaries exist. I'm not saying they should be changed necessarily. If anything, I think a lot of things, the arbitrary age gate should be raised. I think, more sensible things would happen if people were, if there was more of a transitory period between childhood and adulthood versus just the abrupt boom. Suddenly you're able to make every decision for yourself. And originally, that transitionary period was college. And now, colleges are glorified daycares. So, we're not making much progress, is what I'm trying to say. It's rough. It's really rough. Things are really bad right now, and I've been saying for a while now that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. And I mean, it's certainly been getting worse. That's for sure. Oh no. Oh, bad things have been happening. But we can't do anything about it. I mean, for God's sake, people will throw a complete fit when you suggest that the people that are in the leadership right now should be ousted. Oh, you're going to be called like some sort of revolutionary. You're going to be called some sort of, enemy of the state. Like, oh man, these people that are completely brain dead and incapable of guiding the country through a rainstorm, let alone what we're going through right now. When you got people out there that'll make a viral video of them holding their phone up in front of a fast food worker who put only 4 pickles onto their Big Mac instead of 5 and try and get them fired over the dumbest thing like that possible. Meanwhile, you have literal geriatric morons who are turning this entire planet upside down and bringing about the slow collapse of society itself. But when you bring that up, it's like, oh no, you need to have some unity. They got elected to that position. They have to serve their term. Meanwhile, you're trying to get the fast food worker fired for putting pickles on your sandwich. My God, dude. Society is without hope. I don't know why this conversation of trying to define childhood has turned into the complete collapse of America. But I mean, kind of in a sense, you can kind of see how that progression is going to happen, because it feels like, post, post K-12 education it feels like you're going in reverse. And in fact, you really are going in reverse. You're going in reverse even if you don't fall for the communism. You're going in reverse because you're going to end up with thousands in debt that you can't do anything about because you got a completely useless, oversaturated degree. I mean, not an oversaturated degree, but you've got a completely useless degree that you can't do anything with in a field that's most likely oversaturated due to the fact that everyone goes to college. It's a never-ending cycle. And there is very little hope. Very, very little hope. So to tie this all up, I've seen, the Ask Reddits about, like, if you could go back in time and tell 16-year-old you something, what would you tell them? And it's going to be like, and I know that my audience is mostly, like the 14 to 20-year-old range. And a lot of that is, just the way that YouTube is. There's just like, there's a lot of teens on this platform. But like, I know that a lot of people in my audience have started going to college or are going to be going to college soon. And it's like, if I wanted to give advice to anyone under the age of 18 watching this video right now, is that, number one, college is not for everyone. It's for barely anyone, for that matter. But especially if you have a stable job as a high schooler, take a semester off. You've graduated. Congratulations. You don't have to go to college immediately. You have that opportunity to take a breath, see where you are in life. And if you think that you need to further your education and get ahead in life, go in with a plan. Go in with a plan. If you're going to go to college, go in with a plan. Don't listen to the psychopaths that tell you, "Oh, you'll figure it out while you're there." You won't. You won't. You're going to take a bunch of busy work classes that are going to mentally exhaust you to the ends of the earth. 101 classes are nothing but busy work. It's all completely useless, and they assign so much of it. It's offensive. So, college isn't for everyone, but if you have to go, go in with a plan and don't borrow more than you can handle. Okay? If you have scholarships, if you have a full free ride to any university in America, go for it. There's no risk. If you have to take out loans though, make absolutely sure that you can handle it. Because there is no guarantee that you're going to get the job if you have the degree. That is not guaranteed. Nothing like that is guaranteed. What I think most people should do is right when they graduate they should be working while they're in high school. They should have a part-time job while they're in high school so they can get their feet wet in, the real world. And then after graduation, you graduate in like May, or June. Don't do anything until next year. Have the entire second half of the year that you graduate, put that towards planning. Or if you don't want to go to college, put it towards the job that you've gotten in high school. At this point, you're in the real world. And if your parents kick you out, then fuck them. Honestly, I can't make this a kid's video now. If you've made enough money while you're in high school working this job, you're going to be able to, if you have $300 in your bank account right now, you could completely change your life tomorrow. Why not? If you have $300, you can get an Amtrak ticket to anywhere in America. Why not? If you want to be someone, be someone. But no one ever does that because there's no guarantee of success. This video is going to end soon, so I'll leave that for a different video. But the point that I'm trying to make is that growing up sucks. Don't be misled into any decisions that you're going to regret in the future. Don't be pulled on a lead by society. At the end of the day, especially once you turn this arbitrary age of 18, you have complete agency over your life. You do not have to listen to anyone anymore. So I guess it's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing that it's an arbitrary age of 18 that you can make these decisions, because now you can avoid all the problems that society was going to try and drop on you. Anyway, this video is going to stop soon, so I gotta go. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the thinking chair again soon. See you in the next video. Bye.